stand your ground, but if nobody's doing it to you, you can shoot somebody and get away with it. That's the problem. So that's my issue. What could you do about standing your ground?
Well, as you know, most of the stand your ground laws are state and local laws, right? But I think we could do more at the federal level to work with states, work with law enforcement, work with communities to point out that yes, there is a role in extreme situations to defend yourself and defend your home. But unfortunately, what we've seen too much of in the last few years is a spate of people who have reached for a gun before they really figured out what was going on. They've been much too eager to use that gun. We've seen it with policing, and we've seen it with civilians. And it is something that I think, I've thought a lot about it. I don't understand it exactly, but I think, you know, the media today gets everybody whipped up about stuff. And I think a lot of people are living with a level of fear and insecurity that is not necessarily realistic. And therefore they get on, what we would say, a trigger's edge. And they go for their guns instead of saying, why is this happening? And what more can we do? And certainly with police, first and foremost, they need to be trained and held accountable and disciplined in a way that prevents the sort of reaction that we've seen way too much of. And with civilians, I just think a lot of these stand your ground laws need to be rewritten so that yes, if somebody is breaking into your home and you are in imminent danger, or you go to your door and you see something that is deeply concerning, well, first thing you should do is call 911. But the second thing, if you have to defend yourself, okay. But look at some of the instances we've had. Trayvon Martin, look at that. That was absolutely hard for me to understand. The young man who was shot in the car because the music he was playing was too loud. I mean, what is going on there? That wasn't stand your ground. That was just an overreaction. That was a kind of, knee-jerk reaction by somebody who had that gun. So we could go through the list. I don't know what the laws are here in Nevada, but I think that every state needs to take a hard look. Nobody should want to create circumstances in which innocent, unarmed people are killed, either by law enforcement or by civilians wielding guns. And we've got to figure out how to deal with that.
Do you think when you're president you'll be paid as much as if it were a male?
Did you all hear her question? Oh my goodness. Well, this is one of the jobs where they have to pay you the same. But there are so many examples where that doesn't happen. Where women doing the same job are not paid the same. So as president, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure not just the president gets paid the same, whether it's a woman or a man, but every woman in every job gets paid the same as a man.
I am a local LGBT business owner and founding president of the Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce here in Nevada. So my question to you is, how are you going to support the LGBT community in our country, improving economic equality, creating safe spaces for our youth? Can you speak to that?
I certainly can. Well, first, as president, I will do everything I can to make sure that marriage equality is enforced. It's the law of the land, and it needs to be enforced across our country. And then we have to tackle the discrimination issues. When I was in the Senate, was one of the senators, sponsoring what was called ENDA, a bill to end discrimination against the LGBT community. And we have a lot of work to do there. There's just so much continuing discrimination and bias, and I particularly worry about young people because there is a lot of a lot of misunderstanding and even mistreatment still today by families of young people who are LGBT and they're hoping to be accepted and they are not, and they find themselves on the streets. I know you've got people in Las Vegas who are homeless on the streets, who are young LGBT people who have had to leave home. So we need more services, we need more support, and we all need to be speaking out in favor of treating these young people with respect and dignity and giving them a chance. And I hope that as president, I will not only be able to speak to that, but demonstrate how we do it and then support laws that will make it easier for a lot of our people, particularly young people. Lady in the red hat, right there. Here comes the microphone, somewhere. I don't know where it is. Here it is.
Hello, how are you?
I love all the ladies in the red hats stand up. You all look so great. Thank you for wearing your hats. Thank you. Are you part of the Red Hat Club? I think that's great. Okay, I'm sorry.
My question is high medical costs and the prescription costs. I'm a senior, but I have a daughter and I have a daughter died of cancer. And we could not get her treated because of the cost of prescription drugs and medical costs. I have a daughter and I have a son, and she died in 2007. I'm so sorry. But my question is, for me as a senior, my prescription costs is going up. Okay, we have a lot of young people that cannot get way on and cannot get into the workforce because they don't take the proper medication. It's too high. What is your plan concerning that issue?
Thank you for raising that, and I'm sorry about your daughter, and unfortunately, the story you tell is all too common. First, I will defend the Affordable Care Act. I give President Obama a lot of credit. As some of you might remember, I tried that back in 93, 94, and I still have the scars to show for it, so I'm going to be defending it. But I also want to improve it. And one of the areas it needs improving on is prescription drug costs. The costs are going up. And there are a couple of issues here. Let me just sort of summarize it by saying we need to do a better job negotiating the cost of drugs. Insurance companies, Medicare need to do that. And one of our problems is, the pharmaceutical companies are very powerful. And so far they have avoided having to negotiate their prices with Medicare, which is the single biggest payer for drugs. And I'm going to do everything I can to change that. Because it's wrong that I admit a lot of these drugs are expensive, the research is expensive, I get that. But let me tell you that the American taxpayer pays for a lot of the research that serves as the basis for the drugs being developed. We often pay for, to some extent, clinical trials, and we pay for the Food and Drug Administration, which tells you whether or not this drug can be put onto the market. So we have a big investment as American taxpayers, and then the drug companies sell it all over the world, and in advanced economies like Canada and Europe and Japan and places like that, they negotiate the prices. And then it comes to Medicare, and we don't have a law to do that. So it's going to be one of my highest priorities, because you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. turquoise top right there, and then I'll come to you, sir. But let's First Lady in the turquoise top. Here comes the microphone.
Madam Secretary, it's an honor to be in your presence. Thank you for coming to Las Vegas. My question is also along the same line. I'm the mother of a transgender child, and this issue crosses all of your lines in what you're going to do. I'd like to know, first of all, health care does not cover my child's genetic issue. She was born in the wrong body, and it's not her fault. Now, I want to know how I'm going to get an insurance company to cover her surgery, a drug company to allow a decent price for that medication, and a country who will not let Smith's Food and Drug fire her because she is a girl in a boy's body.
I could feel all the way over here the passion that you have as a mom, and I thank you for being brave and willing to stand up and talk about your child. I think the whole country is learning a lot more than we did know or understand before. So I think a lot of the issues you're raising are going to have to be dealt with. And certainly as we negotiate with insurance companies and look for, the kinds of health care that people need, all those issues have to be taken into account. I will certainly do my part the best I can as president to make sure that no child, no